Recently, I've seen a lot of people making comments like this about RFK's video where he was talking about people with autism. And it seems like the world has forgotten that autism is also referred to as ASD, which stands for Autism Spectrum Disorder, because it is just that, a spectrum. And as a special education teacher, I have worked with children and adults that show up with all different aspects of this spectrum. And I am also a fan of the show Love is on the Spectrum. But as someone who has worked for years with people with autism, I can definitively say that the people that are on the show, Love is on the Spectrum, does not represent the entire spectrum of people that have autism. And what RFK Jr. was saying was absolutely correct. There are people in the world with autism that will never have a job, that will never be able to speak, that will never be able to live independently, and that will need care for the rest of their life. So I want to share with you the 5 different types of autism that we typically see and categorize within the school system. One aspect of the spectrum is what people refer to as high-functioning autism. And I know that there are some people out there who hate that term, just bear with me. What most people refer to as high-functioning autism are the people who typically exhibit some sort of unique quirks about them, but they exhibit an extreme level of intelligence or skill in different areas of their life. For example, I had a student that I worked with who was 5 years old and he could literally name any flag for any country in the entire world. I also worked with a student in high school, and while he could not read social cues to save his life, he was able to solve complex calculus equations in his brain. I mean, he was an absolute genius. And the next type of autism that we would see is what a lot of people refer to as classic autism. And these are the kids that are just generally struggling kind of all around. 70% of kids with autism will exhibit some sort of intellectual disability. These are the kids who are able to be in a mainstream classroom, but they need accommodations and they need additional help. These kids will be able to learn biology and algebra and all the other school subjects, but they typically just struggle across the board. And then we have the kids that are in the Bridge program. Students in the Bridge program have really severe behavioral issues that would prevent them from functioning in a regular classroom. So their class sizes are typically limited to about 10 students. They're learning the same subjects, so they're still getting algebra, biology, chemistry, all those other things, but they typically show extreme behavioral issues that would prevent them from being successful in a regular classroom. These are the kids that when you ask them to sit down and pay attention, rather than sitting in the chair, they'll pick it up and throw it at you. And while not all the kids in the Bridge program have autism, many of them do. As this study says, 31% of children with autism will also have symptoms of ODD. The next category that we have is called Learning for Independence, or LFI. The LFI program is for students with severe disabilities, but we want to try our best to help try to prepare them for independence. So rather than them learning about biology and chemistry and algebra, these children are instead being taken on a bus ride where they're learning how to navigate the bus system in our society because they will probably never be able to drive. They're also taken by the special education teacher to the grocery store where they're learning how to buy groceries and how to count their change. They also work in partnership with local businesses that will try to give them jobs that people with disabilities will be able to do. The students in the LFI program will not get a high school diploma. Instead, they will get a certificate and they're able to stay within the public school system until they're 21 years old. And the last category are the children with autism whose needs are so severe that they cannot even attend a school. These are the children who are required to be at home with a caregiver full-time, or they are in an institution with a caregiver full-time. And these are the children that RFK Jr. is speaking about. I have literally walked into houses and worked with families that have to put locks on every single door that they have because their autistic child has a tendency to run away. I have families that have adult children with autism and they literally have holes all throughout their house because their autistic child is continuing to bang their head into the wall over and over and over until they put holes through the wall. I have worked with families who literally have been up all night long dealing with their adult child who has taken off their diaper and has been flinging poop all over their house and all over the bedroom all night long. I have worked with autistic adults who have to wear mittens all day, every day, because if they were to take them off, they would literally rip their hair out. These are grown adults who are legitimately suffering. They are nonverbal, they're not able to use the bathroom properly, they are not able to be alone for any length of time. They scream in pain throughout the day. They suffer from severe meltdowns. They exhibit large signs of aggression towards others and towards themselves. You will not see that side of the spectrum on Love is on the Spectrum. And you will not see that side of the spectrum in your school classrooms. And you will not see that side of the spectrum in your daily life going outside, because most of these children are unable to go outside. And I know that what I'm about to say is going to be very controversial, but please hear me when I tell you that autism is one of the biggest epidemics that we have in our society today. 50 years ago, autism was virtually non-existent. Something has changed. Something has changed, and it's not just the increase in diagnoses. We have an increase in diagnoses because we have an increase in prevalence. And there's a reason why we have an increase in prevalence, and everyone should want to know why. And I know lots of moms that think that they know why. And they may not have the scientific studies to back up what they think, but don't you think that we deserve the actual scientific study? Don't you think that we deserve to actually have someone do some scientific study to figure out why we have so many children today that are showing up with autism? My parents used to work in the insurance industry, and they have told me over and over that one of the biggest concerns in our society today is going to be in 20, 30, 40, 50 years when all of these children with autism, with these severe cases of autism, are finally adults. Who is going to care for them when their own parents die? And I know that that is one of the biggest concerns that parents of children with autism have, that one day they will pass away and they know that their autistic child will be unable to function in the world independently and alone. Someone will have to care for them. Someone will have to pay for them. Someone will have to provide for them. And that someone is going to be all of us. And if you have a child with autism and you would like to talk about alternatives to being in a traditional public school where so often they struggle with bullying and harassment and all other kinds of issues, I invite you to send me a DM or drop me a comment below. I would love to help you talk through and think through better alternatives for you and your kids.